It never fails to amaze me how ticklish you are. It's unbelievable.
I know, it's getting worse.
I'm amazed you can still finish mowing the lawn.
Thanks. Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Real quick. Do you know when a shirt becomes your go-to shirt?
Oh, John, one of the greatest moments in life.
Right?
Like a magical transformation anointed by the heavens. Mm-hmm. Did you get that shirt from Quince?
How could you tell that?
John, don't play this silly game with me. It's lightweight, it looks comfortable, and high quality. And I know that you don't like to spend too much on clothing, so has to be Quince.
Yep.
Quince has all the things you actually want to wear, like organic cotton silk polos, European linen bead shorts, and your favorite comfy pants that work for every situation.
And I'm surprised you didn't mention this. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes.
Wow.
Right? At 50 to 80% less than similar brands.
I wonder how they make money, John.
I know it.
But
they're not in it for the money.
I still enjoy it, though. I have hoodies, polos, slacks, all from Quince, and they're a perfect fit for way less than I would pay for clothes at high-end stores.
Exactly. Guys, elevate your closet with Quince. Go to quince.com/dadville for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns.
What?
It's ridiculous.
Jeez Louise, that's QUINCE.com/dadville to get free shipping and 365-day returns. That's almost every day of the year, John. Quince.com/dadville. Dadville. Yeah. Hi, I'm Dave Barnes.
And I'm John McLaughlin.
And welcome to Dadville.
Dadville's a podcast where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of awesome dadding.
It's funny thoughts and deep talks.
So please, enjoy your time here in Dadville and enjoy this episode with...
Amy Brown. So, folks, you hear her voice. You know her voice. We're already rolling.
We're already rolling. This is how you do. Okay, I love it.
You know her voice. You've heard it mornings. Maybe it has a Pavlovian effect that you think, oh my gosh, we're rushing to school. Maybe it has the Pavlovian effect of you're drinking your coffee. And every time you hear Amy's voice, you think, this coffee is so good.
Yeah.
My kids are yelling at me in the
You should definitely clarify who I am because I don't know that.
We're getting to it.
Okay. I already know if we're just going to...
It's a really long...
Just do it to where it's like, you know her voice. We don't even
We're not
need
going to tell you who she is.
You'll put it together.
She's just a power part of the Bobby Bones Show. And at this point, everyone is like, oh my gosh, it's Amy Brown. We love her. We've wanted to have you on here for a long time. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that, and I'm so excited.
That's been one of our goals for a long time.
Okay. Well,
your name has been on a list for years.
Yeah.
Not to be creepy, but it's been on a list.
Right.
Guys,
in the event that
what
you feel...
took so long? Because I didn't know.
It was...
we wanted to get the listenership to a certain amount of millions before we had you on.
15 million.
315 million?
315 million.
You hear it as you hear it, and we'll do ours.
Wow.
The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to do like a soft pitch to get you off Bobby into this, and that's we're not sure.
Hours are way better.
Hours, and the pay is worse.
You get up whenever,
so the good news,
whenever you want,
and that's really our pitch right there.
My next question was, what's the pay?
I wouldn't even say there may be pay, but the joy, just the fun that you're going to have.
If you're looking for money, like actual money.
Now listen,
if you're looking to survive,
hey, kingdom money.
Priceless.
For days. Even that might be a little limited.
On the other side, you will be rewarded so handsomely.
Right.
But that's just think and pray about that.
I am considering it.
That's actually better than we thought it would. Mm-hmm. So we start ours with the brag sheet, which is just a little bit about you. There's some
in front of me.
Yeah, in front.
Right.
This is what we do. You know what I'm realizing right now that we've sort of stepped into a minefield because we're with a professional.
Okay. I know it.
Do you feel that right now? I feel a little bit of like
what? I am not a professional.
Well,
like I didn't.
If you're not a professional, what is the definition of a professional?
Fine. Have I been in radio for 20 years? Yes.
Sure.
However, I only recently learned what the C-suite is.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, see, you're like
the
me.
CEO, the COO.
You knew. Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the corporate world, I have got my ear to the ground, my friend.
Finger on the pulse, John.
Finger on the pulse. That's what I was going for. Ear to the ground. That also works, right?
Can I just? I feel like I know you well enough to do this, Amy. Can I just do a quick aside?
Fine.
Annie, my wife. Do you know Annie? Have y'all met?
No.
Okay. So
I'm gonna act like it. She seems
oh my gosh,
precious.
crazy
Oh my gosh,
AB.
Annie's the best.
She does these sayings that she gets wrong. And it's one of my favorite things about her. And you doing that saying reminded me. I'm not going to do it now because it's a
What would she have said?
Well, she does she'll take
She would have said ear to the pulse.
That's exactly what she would have done. And just moves right through it. And I have to go, hey, and she'll see me pull my phone out. And she's like, what did I say wrong? And she did 5 in 3 days last week. And it was a treasure trove.
So I just admitted this on the Bobby Bones show last week of something that I did. It was out of character because I snapped on a call with a colleague. There was some drama at work with a client, and it was a nightmare. I am telling you, a couple of months worth of just make this go away because I no longer want to be a part of this narrative. And I even called Bobby, one afternoon after I got off a call about it, at the 15th meeting. And I just said, I need advice. And he told me I needed to suck it up and roll with it. And I did. So fast forward 4 weeks after my call with him, I'm having to suck up even more. And I don't even think I can take any more of it. And it was more about its disrespect towards someone else that was involved. And I just wanted to drop it. But obviously, companies, big companies, people in the C-suite.
Classic. Oh, my God.
Money involved. And so I'm on the phone, and all of a sudden, I just snap and I get real emotional. I'm like, this doesn't work for me. And now I'm involved in this, and this is just not going to work. And I was like, so whose head do we need to have on a swivel for this?
And they were like, well, I mean.
But I mean, I think I'm even saying it more kindly now than I did.
Yeah.
But it was more of
whose head?
I said it to where the person on the other end of the line just sat there silent. And then I started crying.
No.
It couldn't have gotten more unprofessional than me in that moment because I yelled that. And I was so passionate about somebody's head is going to be on a swivel because somebody greenlit this and they shouldn't have,
They're like, wait, so they'll be looking around?
But I mean, I didn't even notice at the time that I said it incorrectly.
I think that could be kind of a genius move to cut the tension in a moment like that, right?
I don't even think they
fire
knew
off
what to do with me with a call ended.
That feels like a
It
power
disarms
play,
them, gets them off their game.
I'm with John on this.
But it wasn't, they weren't at fault. They knew they weren't. But I was trying to aggressively ask them, you better figure out who's going to pay for this, Because this is...
Because we've got the swivel.
Right.
We need the head.
We need the head.
But whose head should it be?
On the swivel.
Whose head?
I mean, I yelled and then later, it wasn't until...
Did you clock it, though? Real time?
No.
Oh, you just powered through.
Not powered through. It wasn't until I was retelling the story.
Oh, that you realized it.
To my C-suite boyfriend. He is a CEO. And he said, hey, did you mean head on a platter? Whose head's going to roll for this? What did you, whose head on the stick? When your head's on the swivel, you're on the lookout.
You're like, well, actually, maybe place.
But you could turn the swivel and then it rolls. A swivel, I assume, rolls.
You spin
I'm
the
on your
swivel.
side here, Amy. I think
No,
you're fine.
I definitely had to just own my mistake in the moment. But when you snap,
you're
not necessarily thinking clearly.
It's a lot of gasoline.
Because speaking of Annie's, Annie F. Downs. So she once told me, which I'm sure this is a saying that a lot of people may have, but she's like, oh, I like my emotions and my feelings to ride shotgun. I don't want them to be in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
So common thing. But she was the first person I heard say it, and I'll never forget it because I was like, oh, that is so great. So in that moment on that call, my feelings were in the driver's seat. My emotions were controlling everything, and you're not really rational then. So not only did I say something totally stupid, but I was so irrational that I didn't even realize that what I said was completely incorrect. So,
that happens to me so often as a parent when I'm in a moment with my kids and I'm it's like I lead up to the climax of here's the thing I'm saying, and I always in that moment
barely
I don't quite know what the next word is, and like, it'll happen to my wife as well. And it's one of my favorite things as a parent.
Yeah.
To be in the room when like Amy is getting ready to lay down the law, but she can't quite
get the
because
its head's on a swivel.
Yeah,
it's that.
Yeah.
Annie had these. These were the two. The problem is what's between your eyes, and I was like,
So that would be your nose.
No, and that's exactly what I said.
Did she mean your brain?
Your
Right.
ears, between your ears.
Okay.
Oh, between your ears.
Here's the last one.
I'm tracking that though.
Now this one took me a minute because I was like, that's so
That
convoluted.
last one took me a minute.
Well, touche, because it's not between your eyes. They like to be influencers of the pot, and I was like, Annie, say that one more time. She was like, what did I say? I was like, no, just say that. She's like, they like to be influencers. I was like, stirrers of the pot, and she's like, oh yeah. I was like,
Yeah, instead of stirring the pot, you're influencing the pot.
Just like,
which sounds like that's an updated. Like it's just updating it because everything's an influencer now.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So,
But this is anyway. That's Annie would feel your pain. You have much commisery with my wife, who'd be like, "There's nothing wrong with that. She's awesome."
Yeah,
That's why
we're
she did that.
samesies. She's probably gonna say that one day. She's gonna be like, "Whose head do we need to have on a swivel for this?"
I'm gonna say like, "Oh," that, and then it's
And
gonna
you're
prove
gonna
me
be like,
that it's a thing.
It's a thing.
That's
It's a thing. It's totally fine.
Okay, so here we go. This is your life. Started hosting the Women of iHeart Country radio show in 2019. Host the Feeling Things with Amy Cat, which is back. Podcast is back.
Relaunched.
Podcast is back. We rebranded. It's a makeover. It was always around, but it was 4 Things with Amy Brown. And Kat is a licensed therapist here in town, Kat Van Buren. She's amazing. And she joined me as a co-host once a week on my bonus episode for 4 Things.
Oh, cool.
And we had such good energy, and I had such fun with her. And listeners would email me questions and all kinds of things. And I shouldn't feel equipped to answer because
Yeah.
I'm not an expert. I'm
Yeah.
just a have life experience, but also
you're not even a
I was just
professional radio host,
Right.
apparently.
At this
Right.
point, yeah.
And so I thought, well, I'm going to bring a therapist on for the Q&A episode, the bonus episode. And then listeners were loving our energy. And, sometimes even when something's not broken, it just starts to feel off. Like things were working with
Yeah.
4 Things is still doing well, but I just wasn't in it anymore. I needed a revamp. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what if she's one of my best friends? We did this together, like Dadville.
Come on.
And we make it a full-time thing. And I was so nervous to ask her because she's a full-time therapist. She's a professional. And she's like, but she had her own podcast too called You Need Therapy. And I'm like, she probably would have to abandon that. And like, that's the whole thing. And like, we do. And then I just found the right time and I brought it up and she was like, shut up. I have been feeling a little overwhelmed and the podcast's been a bit much. So us merging together would like cut the workload,
And
working smarter, not harder. And it's just more fun.
there you go.
And
Yeah.
so we did a total rebrand. It's still
Wow.
on my same feed. And I think we're like 4 weeks in, guys, and it's so good. I
that's
am
great.
loving
so
it.
what's the
Great.
different? Like, what's the different?
Well, now we
question?
focus on, now we have a niche.
Oh,
Yeah, so when I was 4 Things with Amy Brown, I was talking about 4 different things
that were.
every week.
That's a lot. That is a whole lot.
And I kind of liked the freedom in the beginning. I was like, well, this is fun. It's going to be so like just hodgepodge.
Yeah.
Grab bag.
Yeah,
You never
yeah.
know what you're going to get. And then sometimes I was like, I'm out of stuff,
Yeah.
I'm
We
out
have
of
to
stuff.
do one pick a week.
That's what I was just thinking.
Literally, our producer Jason,
Right.
We do an email newsletter every
Yeah.
week.
and he's always like, "Hey, which is genius," but he's
Yeah.
so good. Jason, shout out, please don't ever leave us.
Shout
We
out.
love you.
Yeah, we
love you,
love
Jason.
producers. Same.
But he was like, "Hey, it'd be great if people would actually read it if y'all would like add like intentional copy, basically." And he was like, "Just do a pick a week." And we were like, fist bumping like a pick a week. And I'm telling you, John and I, because it goes out on Tuesday mornings, Monday at 9, he's like, "Guys, please send your picks." And we're always like, "Oh," and I'm always like,
I mean, we have it on the calendar every
and it's
Friday
one.
to send our pick.
"Not 4,
One pick.
just one is
The
hard."
week goes by like that. Yeah, I just
know.
need one thing. I'm like, I'm doing all the same things. I don't,
John,
let alone 4.
John started his this week by basically saying, "Look, I've let you down. I don't know.
I'm like, look, this isn't going to be a high bar for me.
I can't imagine 4." So that's
Yeah.
back up and it's moving.
So we're moving and grooving, and the niche is feelings. Obviously, it's called Feeling Things.
Yes.
Which
So,
then having a therapist for is really helpful.
yeah, in our first 4 episodes, we unpacked the 8 core feelings. We did 2 feelings.
Holy cow, an episode.
The core. We're trying to. It's for the podcast is really for anyone who's ever had a feeling or wants to.
That feels pretty
So
open.
if that's you,
if that's you.
Check it out.
If you
and if you're unaware if you have feelings, then
boy, do you need it.
definitely listen.
Yeah, I was going to say, which is
We
probably going to
probably
be
need like actual
You're
therapy.
like, man, our male listeners are 90 to 10 on women. Just like all these guys, like, I cried in my truck last night. Okay, we're still going, Amy. Okay, this is actually amazing. Won the National On-Air Personality Award at the ACM Awards, not once, 2014, not twice, 2016, not 3 times, 2018, 4 times, 2020.
Nice.
That's 4.
Is that what?
That's amazing.
ACMs 4 times?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's 4. And then won a CMA award for National Personality in 17 and 19.
We have more than that
Oh,
for CMA. I only know because those trophies are
everywhere.
glass.
Oh, you had a necklace made out of them.
Those trophies are glass.
Oh.
And I have broken more than 2. So
In fits of rage where you yelled at people
no,
for being
they
a head on a
just
swivel.
they're just
Was that your head on a swivel speech? You chucked it at the window.
no, they just they're fragile little suckers.
Like, and aren't we all?
Aren't we all?
That's free.
That brings us
That's
back to your podcast.
There it is. It's a constant plug. This is facts. This was interesting. So, met Bobby. I didn't know this at a Culvers in Austin. Is that true?
Yeah, true.
Okay, we're gonna get there. Don't slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately put you on the air, which is incredible.
Well, it wasn't immediate, but yeah.
It's a translation thing. The show, y'all moved to Nashville in 2012. Or before that, it started here 2012. No,
2013, but yeah.
13. Gosh, Jason, on thin ice here, Jason. And this is great. On September 28, 2013. So if you are hiring, just let me. In 2013.
Let me tell you, I already know if like Kat is sick or on a trip or something, y'all are filling in.
We're not even recording. This
We're
is just
getting a
tryout.
job with her. This is really turned
Yeah.
around on a
Did you
swivel.
see me have a panic attack? Because I said we're not even recording. And then we did our first episode. It's not going to say who because the magic of interviews, nobody will ever know. But where we did it and record.
I need to know who. Just say it.
No, it's Magic Johnson.
What?
All right.
He
No.
was so kind about it.
I've done that before again, and I'm a professional.
Oh my gosh,
it had never happened to us
But you saw
before.
me swivel because I had a moment where it's like, oh God.
I know. I've checked that
It's
about.
okay.
I think
80
everybody's
times.
done that at some point. I mean,
It did kind of
maybe-
feel like a rite of passage.
It
Like,
did, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it was our 210th episode or
Yeah.
something. So it was like we had made a long time.
You know Dr. Becky?
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
Inside?
Yeah.
That's who I did it with.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yep,
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, ours was Michael Jordan. So, Bones and his crew were part of a team that set the Guinness World Record most hunger relief meals packaged in 1 hour.
That is true.
That's amazing. Also, was in a movie.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Holiday Harmony still
We both went up and down at the same time.
you can still stream it on Max. I just got to check.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Oh my
Yeah.
Okay, I see you over there.
My checks vary from $5 to $205. So it just depends on the
It's
seasons.
listen, it comes with the seasons.
Be
Right.
looking for a bump after
Okay,
this.
yeah,
Okay.
that could sound like cocaine. That's not. We don't do that here.
Well, I don't.
Not a bump in the bathroom. So here's the question I have for you.
Okay.
Hearing those things, as you've got your accomplishments, you've got this crazy story with Bobby, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
If I saw 2000, golly, John is laughing at me.
She's already offered us that position.
you don't
She
have to be
can't take it
nervous.
away.
You don't have to be
I'm getting
nervous. Sometimes we just pause and take a deep breath.
If you know how fast my brain moves, you would know what's happening. If I saw a 15-year-old Amy and I showed her these things and I said, "Hey, this is going to be you someday," is she like? That's exactly what I want. Is she surprised? Like,
Oh, she's totally surprised because she never even
what
saw
does
that.
she think?
She thinks she's going to be a stay-at-home mom.
Oh wow, okay. She's like, that's a thing.
That's what I mean, and who knows if I would have been able to get pregnant early in my marriage, that probably would have happened. When I first started the show, I was single, then got married, and my first contract was for 2 years. And I thought in that 2-year mark, we would start trying for a baby. And I mean, that was my narrative on the show. Like, once I get pregnant,
Wow.
I'm out. Peace
wow.
out.
Yeah,
Bye.
yeah.
So you're talking about this.
Yeah, I was
On
talking
the
about it
show.
on the show.
Wow.
Yeah, because that was my plan. I wanted to have children and I wanted to be home with them. And then I could figure out a career once they were in school. And I kept waiting to get pregnant and then it never happened. And then we adopted and then that took 5 years. And then we adopted older children who were in school. And I was like, well, I guess this is a career because I have not been able to leave. Because at that point, I had already been on the show for over 10 years.
Hey, Dave.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, my gosh. You scared me. What's up?
What's on your mind?
Oh, I'm
You go
glad
first.
you asked.
Yeah.
John, if you've shopped online,
I have.
chances are you've bought from a business powered by Shopify.
Oh, many times. Yeah.
John, you know that purple shop pay button you see at checkout?
Oh, I love that thing. Listen, you know what? I was speaking of the purple button.
Okay.
Just the other night, I was doing a little online shopping while lying in bed.
A healthy habit.
Yep, I encourage it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remembered, I left my wallet in the kitchen. But you know what? It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Because that purple button, shop button, has all my payment and shipping info safely stored. So I was good to go.
You weren't scared about anything, which you usually are when you lay in bed.
Terrified.
That's Shopify.
Yep.
And there's a reason so many businesses sell with it.
Yep.
Because Shopify makes it incredibly easy to start and run your business.
Wait, listen.
Okay. That's
What
right.
that sound?
Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started.
You know, Shopify gives you that leg up from day one with hundreds of beautiful, ready-to-go templates to express your brand style and forget about the code.
Tackle all those important tasks in one place, from inventory to payments to analytics and more. Spread your brand's word with built-in marketing and email tools to find and keep new customers.
So if you want to see fewer carts being abandoned, I hate seeing that.
Oh,
Let's see less of it with Shopify. It's time for you to head over to Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/dadville.
Go to shopify.com/dadville.
Shopify.com/dadville.
He's many things, but he's mostly John.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
You know what? If I've said it once, I've said
Okay.
it twice. And if I've said it twice, I've said it 1,000 times.
Wow.
The Dadville podcast is sponsored by Relief Band. And let me tell you, Dave.
Okay.
Relief Band has been a game changer for our family.
Okay.
The game was going on. Relief Band changed
Changed
it.
it. Okay.
Every road trip, about 20 minutes in, somebody's feeling nauseous.
I know that
right?
life, yeah.
And then you play the whole game of like, well, how nauseous are they? And is it enough that we should get off this exit and let them get out of the car? That whole game.
And then potentially leave them there. But you don't want to lose
Right.
that game, John.
I don't want to lose that game. I want to win that game. And you know how I win it?
Please.
I win it with Relief Band.
That's
Dave.
right.
Relief Band is the original anti-nausea wristband that quickly relieves and prevents nausea and vomiting associated with motion sickness, anxiety, migraines, hangovers, morning sickness, chemotherapy, and more.
Relief Band is a band you wear on your wrist to give you relief from nausea, and you can change its intensity with strong or weak depending on how you're feeling. It's 100% drug-free, non-drowsy, works quickly before or after symptoms start, and has zero side effects.
Plus, Relief Band's new Premier Plus model provides advanced nausea relief, includes a digital clock, and utilizes smart skin sensing technology to preserve battery life.
At first, I didn't even comprehend how this would work.
Yeah, I remember you couldn't even comprehend it.
Okay, that's a public school education. But now I'm a believer. Still not sure about Relief Band? Here's a real story from one of Relief Band's customers.
That's right. Michael says, quote, "The Relief Band is the first product I've tried that eliminated the nausea from motion sickness.
That's right.
I have tried the pills, tried the patch,
Yep.
tried the pressure bands. None of these products has worked as well as Relief Band."
You sounded just like him. So if you
That's
want to
exactly
cure
how
your
it sounds.
nausea problem fast, join the hundreds of thousands of people who are nausea-free with Relief Band. Right now, we've got an exclusive offer just for Dadville listeners.
Let me tell them about it, okay? If you go to reliefband.com and use promo code DADVILLE, you will immediately receive 20% off plus free shipping. So head to reliefband.com and use our promo code DADVILLE for 20% off plus free shipping.
Well, I would imagine too, I mean, with that job, I mean, you're so cemented into a thing. You know, it's like a band at that point. Like everybody has their personality, what they bring to the show.
Right. To leave after a decade would have
Would be
been very
huge.
different than leaving within the first
Yeah,
2
right.
years, which I did actually. My first contract, I did fulfill because I married someone in the Air Force and I had to move
Oh, wow.
out of Austin to North Carolina because he was stationed at Fort Bragg there.
Okay.
And they had a going away party for me and everything. Bobby did. Like I have this big huge blown up picture of the show, and everyone signed it at the going away party. And I was done. I fulfilled my 2 years and I was moving. And then Bobby called me a couple of days after the going away party, and he said, "Hey, if I figure out a way for you to stay on the show, would you do it?" And I was like, well, how is that going to be possible? And you have to think, because this was before, I know with COVID, everyone was like, we were figuring out Zoom and you can record things all like this was way before anything like that. So people just weren't doing stuff remotely back then. And he's like, I think we can figure out a way to where you'll sound good enough to where it'll sound like you're in the room. And we just won't even really address it. I mean, listeners will know because we've already had a going away party.
My gosh,
some listeners will know, but as we syndicated, it's not like it would be something we introduced all the time. Like Amy's in her garage in North Carolina.
Here's North Carolina Amy.
Right. Actually, my first house that I did, I lived there in North Carolina for 5 years, and my first studio was in the attic, and I climbed up those tiny stairs that you pull down from the ceiling. Mm-hmm.
Oh, like the Clark Griswold stairs.
Yeah. And we kind of rigged it and hooked it up, but I would run to the bathroom during song breaks.
Down the stairs.
And I would tell them, if I don't return, like by the end of the song, like call 911 because I've fallen. So I guess that gives away the fact that we did figure out a way. And Bobby said, let's do it. So I moved to North Carolina and I did the show remotely for 5 years. And I would do it from my attic and then later my garage. For those 5 years, and when my husband would go to Afghanistan, I would go back to Austin and stay with my mom and be in studio. So I spent about half the time in North Carolina and half the time. I
can't get over you going up and down the ladder.
Yeah, me neither. It was pretty comical. And I was living in a small town outside of Fayetteville, North Carolina, called Southern Pines, right by Pinehurst. Such a cute, quaint town where a lot of people in the military lived, if you were lucky enough to live off base. And we were, thank God. People there, they didn't know the show. We later got syndicated into Raleigh, which was right there. So then people started to learn it. But for a while, I'm like trying to make friends. And they're like, so what do you do? And again, this is before even podcasting is big.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Now if people are like, oh, I do a podcast in my garage, you're like, sweet.
Yeah, cool.
So do I.
Yeah. And back then it was like, wait, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm on the show. We're based in Austin. And they're like, huh?
Right.
And they would think, like, literally, I think they thought I was just some girl, like, in my attic, like, talking to myself.
Which you kind of are.
It was really hard.
Part of it, that's true.
It was hard for me to make friends.
Did you ever have any, like, really dicey jumps down those stairs?
Yeah, I mean, I had some moments. Because, again, you have songs are, 3 minutes? And
right.
I mean, even in pop, sometimes they're faster. Because we were, by the way, we were not country then. We were top 40.
Oh, my gosh.
Uh-huh.
I'm just imagining, like, nobody in the house. And you just hear, and then just like,
yeah.
Nobody there to enjoy the pratfalls, of like crashing down the stairs.
Yeah,
so let me ask you this.
It get real hot in the summer too.
Oh, I was going to say, honest to God, that was my next question.
Just sweating.
Yeah, these were the early days, guys.
Oh my gosh, I dropped so many pounds just like in the sweat
It was like hot
box.
yoga.
But you don't have like a camera on you.
Not there.
In the beginning.
In the beginning, no. I had, Bobby and I were using maybe FaceTime or something.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
To see each other so I could see cues of like, okay, they're talking. But then we got pretty good at it to where, like when COVID did happen and we were all working remotely from our houses and syncing up, we're like, oh, this is not our first rodeo. We know how to do this and we can stay in sync and we know how to like
You did that for 6 years, is that right?
5. Mm-hmm.
Jeez, that's such a long time.
Yeah, but it was such a blessing because I was going to quit and leave and then hopefully go to North Carolina and be pregnant and I've never gotten pregnant. I mean, who knows what I would have done?
So many people go to North Carolina to get pregnant.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a really well-worn path. Yeah. Especially Tobacco Road.
Well, it didn't happen for me. Yeah.
It's right there.
No.
So when we started doing this, Dave and I mean, and we had known each other forever. Before we started doing this, we'd known each other for 15 years almost. But starting a podcast where it's the two of us and then we always have a guest, most episodes. Sometimes we have 2 guests. So we had to figure out where our lane was, like I want to be authentically me. Dave's got to be authentically him, but we're also, trying to do this one cohesive thing and not step on each other, all that kind of stuff. Do you remember the early days trying to figure that out? How conscious of that were you? Or were you just like, this is just a guy I met at Culvers yesterday. I'm just going to do my thing.
Well, so I was a listener of the show. And that's how I knew who he was at Culvers.
Mm-hmm.
And the female co-host at the time, her name was Jill. She was my favorite. And I was in sales and I had an hour commute to work. And again, this was way back. I mean, this was like 2004 that I started listening. So we were listening to the radio. Now you can listen to like all kinds of things. I mean, I guess
you said
maybe
2004. Jeez. Okay.
That I was listening to the show. I had just moved back to Austin. I went to Texas A&M, moved back to Austin, got a job in sales, was driving hour plus commute in traffic. So one day, being from Austin, I was like, oh, my favorite stations were, Case 101, KHFI, like 96.7, the pop station. So I would bounce back and forth from country to pop. And then I was like, who's this Bobby guy? Who's this lunchbox?
That's free.
There we go.
That was free. Keep going. Sorry.
Wait, I missed it.
I said you and Post Malone. It's just
I know, but I want to know the joke.
Well, he's popping between pop and country.
Oh, pop and country. Oh, yes.
There we go.
Jason, somebody's head is on a swivel.
Jason,
just cut to her laugh really quickly, if you don't.
And double it.
I got it. Yeah. He crosses over. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. So I listened to the show and I love Jill. She's awesome. I like Bobby. Lunchboxes. I'm like, this guy's crazy. But they became my friends, as weird as that sounds. Like I was
totally
living with my sister at the time and I would go home and it'd be like, oh, well, Jill said, and they're like, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right.
And my sister was actually a stay-at-home mom at the time, so she didn't listen to the radio at all. And she's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm like, never mind. So then...
You don't get Jill like I do.
This is also before social media, anything like that. So to know what radio people look like, you had to go to the website.
Yeah.
Well, there was some concert coming up, and I wanted tickets, so I became a member of the Kiss Club.
Oh, yeah.
So I went to...
do you have any idea what concert that was? I would be so curious.
I don't even remember.
Okay.
I mean, probably like... Who knows?
Howie Day.
Had a bad day. Yeah, that was probably 2004, 2005.
No, wait, that's
no.
Daniel Powder.
Daniel Powder.
Yeah.
But Howie Day is
Cannonball, right?
Collide.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So Collide and Bad Day were both, I think,
They were happening.
Yeah,
they were happening. So probably something like that.
There could have been a John
maybe
McLaughlin
Plain White
concert.
Tees. I don't
Oh,
know.
No, could be.
Okay.
Might have been a little later.
This
Okay.
is just the rest of our conversation.
Yeah, it's just...
Or
well,
it could have been
listen,
Gavin DeGraw.
2004. Is this fall or spring? Okay, we've got some...
Yeah, maybe. So I joined the Kiss Club, and that's when I saw what they all looked like. So then one day, I was leaving my sales job, and my friend Andrea, my best friend from high school, her dad owns the Culvers in North Austin.
Oh, that would be my best friend.
And she's like, hey, can you pop by Culvers? I'm here, and I know it's like kind of on your way home. I want to give you something. So I just popped into Culvers to see her.
You'd be so excited when you get that call. She's going to give me something, and I guarantee it's ice cream.
No, I didn't. I was used to it. Like,
I
as
got
you know,
excited for you.
it's fine. You like their custard?
Oh my gosh, don't you?
I mean, I haven't had it in a long
Oh
time.
Yeah.
gosh, guys!
I'm just kind of a salad guy.
Please. Sorry, I digress. Continue.
Yeah. So I'm there just talking to Andrea, and I look over and I see a guy sitting at a booth by himself. And I said, Andrea, I think that's Bobby Bones. And she just looked at me and she said, who? And I'm like, you're not a member of the Kiss Club?
Well,
like,
duh.
nobody knows these people. And they were still a relatively new show in Austin. In one market, one city. He was the night guy, but the morning guy got fired, and then he threw his name in the hat to be the morning guy. And I don't think, if I remember his version of the story correctly, the boss wasn't thrilled about it being him, and they wanted someone with a little more experience. But I think by default, they're like, okay, fine, we'll give you a shot. He was persistent enough to where they're like, let's give this Bobby Bones guy a shot at the mornings. But normally you're more of a veteran when you make it to mornings.
Sure,
so he was, at that point, I think, the youngest morning radio guy on the pop station in Austin, Texas. And he built like this little crew, and I listened. And so I went over and I said, well, hi, are you Bobby Bones? And he said, yeah. And I said, oh, I listen every day, and thank you for entertaining me on my drive. Jill's my favorite. And then my friend Andrea comes up clutch with some ice cream coupons.
Boom.
There we go.
Yeah. So
had it not been for those coupons, We might not be talking today.
Yeah. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, you're just eating here alone? Like, it's a random north. Like, I know he doesn't live north. I don't even live up there. I was just there because my job, commute. And he said, I'm getting my tires rotated or changed or something next door. And he's like, I came over to eat. And I gave him the coupons. I was like, cool. And then we realized we were both training for the same triathlon. And we just, yeah. So then things developed from there. And then they did a mall audition. And I went.
No.
Oh, it was the mall audition that got you in there.
Are y'all, I mean, is this boring?
No.
Wait, I just want to ask real quick. You're obviously just going up to talk to him just to say hi.
Oh, yeah. Like,
You're
there
not
was no job opening.
This will be the next 21 years of my life.
Absolutely not.
As you're talking,
I
though.
thought my job was in my sales job that
Right.
I had. And I was just going up to say, hey, I listen every morning. And Jill's my favorite. And so for a long time on Twitter, my tagline was, because Twitter obviously happened by the time I was on the show, and I had to put a tagline, and I was like, say hi to people, it could change your life.
I love that.
Because
I like that.
saying hi to him changed my life. Now, obviously, I had to go to the mall, but that's where Andrea comes back into the picture, because I wouldn't have gone to the mall if it wasn't for Andrea.
She just brings a book.
Are you
of
a judge here?
coupons.
Great. I want you to pay special
Do you like ice
attention.
cream?
Do you like
And Amy Brown?
concretes? Ooh, concretes. Is that Culvers concretes?
I don't
Their
know.
mixes. Guys, don't act like you don't.
I mean, I know they have like cheese curds, but
You guys are
Again,
acting so
I just
cool
love
right
just
now.
some veggies and
You're
some
lying.
butter lettuce.
Jesus knows you're lying.
No, okay. When you're chatting with him on that first time at
Yeah.
Culvers, you know, concretes are flying. Apparently, are you thinking like this is going really well?
no, it was so quick. I'm telling you, it was like,
yeah.
boom, boom, boom. My best friend comes in with the ice cream coupons. Cool. Like, my best friend didn't even know. Like, people just didn't even, nobody
Yeah.
thought it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like, here's how much it just wasn't a big deal. On my hour commute to work, maybe this is before I met him or after, honestly.
Oh, he
Can't
said
really
something.
remember. No, he
Oh,
didn't
God, I
know.
got excited.
But I called in once. They were doing a segment about the best outdoor restaurants in Austin. Like, where to eat outdoors. I guess the weather maybe had just gotten nice and,
For those 2 weeks. In Austin.
riveting topic.
Clock is ticking, guys. We got 2 weeks.
You got 2 weeks
to
where
get
it's
some meals in.
blisteringly
Let's
hot.
go.
And they had just opened up a new flagship, like Whole Foods, where the corporate
Yes,
offices
yes.
are.
Uh-huh.
Have you been
Yep,
to it?
yep,
Okay.
Yep.
So on the roof of that Whole Foods, they put a patio where you can eat up there. And I worked out at a gym right across the street. And so we would work out, and my girlfriends and I would go over to Whole Foods, go to the rooftop, enjoy a salad,
Hello.
of
Gosh,
course.
the
or
schmoozy.
Wow,
something.
I didn't want to interrupt, but there's
Something like
salads
that.
You're a
there.
kale, grinded kale.
Oh, my
grinded
goodness.
kale?
Ground?
Sure.
Kale?
Grinds.
Or blended?
It's just,
I don't
okay,
know.
easy. Keep
Shredded?
going. Swiveled.
There's so many other words you could have.
No, I don't know.
You picked the one
I
wrong
know,
word.
I did pick the very wrong word. I'm so sorry.
Where was I? Eating at Whole Foods.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, so you call
then
in.
I feel like I'm driving on my hour commute, very bored.
You got time.
And I'm like, I'm going to call in, see what happens. They take my call. And this is sort of like foreshadowing, because I got so excited that I was about to be on air.
Totally. Like for younger listeners listening right now who have no idea how exciting it would be to call into a radio station and get on the air. It would be, I suppose, like Post Malone is live streaming.
Yes.
And he
Sees your comment.
he sees your comment and,
and
he
shouts it out.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
or not only that,
Or he,
Post
brings you
Malone
on.
picks up your call. Yeah, you
Yeah.
get to, he's
You're
doing a
split
live
screening.
and he brings you in or something.
Yeah.
So they're like, hello, Amy's on. You got your favorite outdoor restaurant in Austin? And I'm like, the rooftop at the new Whole Foods. And and they're like, cool. I think they probably thought it was a little too hipster cool for them. And that was it. Then my segment was over and they hung up. But I was on cloud nine and I got to work and I walked in and I was like, y'all, I was just on the Bobby Bone Show. Did y'all hear me? And they go, who? Nobody. And I'm like,
not in the Kiss Club. You guys will never be Kiss Club material.
why is nobody? God, this show's going to catch on one day and y'all are
It's
going
going to be huge. I'm telling you, he's going to have a National Geographic show, and it's going to be huge. You don't understand.
He's going to win Dancing with the Stars one day.
I swear, listen to me right now. You remember this
Dancing with the
conversation.
what?
Yeah, that show didn't exist yet. Good point. He's going to be on American Idol.
Yeah.
He was.
There we
He
go.
was.
He was a
That's
mentor.
right,
Yeah.
That's right.
So people didn't know what they didn't know yet. And I was so excited, and none of my coworkers cared. And I was like, cool, well, I'm just going to ride this wave for a little bit. So I was excited. So I liked the show, obviously. So then when Jill announces that she's leaving to go be a teacher, I'm like,
it is
what?
your time.
So is this the first time that you're like, wait, maybe I could be on the show?
Well, I didn't really think it was going to happen, but I thought I'm going to give it a go. And my best friend, Andrea, Culvers Andrea, we'll call her.
Out.
She was like, you have to go to the mall. They're holding an audition at the mall,
what does
and
that
you have to
mean?
go.
What do you do?
Well, there were people that were in line like all day, and I went after work. So guess what
you're at
number
the
in
back
line
of the
I
line.
was?
Yeah,
Second to last. And the person behind me was a guy. And I looked at him and I said, you know they're looking for a girl, right?
He's like, it's 2004. Easy. We can be whatever we want.
No, not then. That would be like now, but 2004.
But in Austin, maybe.
I don't know, maybe. So I didn't know if Bobby would for sure remember me, even though, yeah, we talked about triathlons. I did see him at Culvers, but I'm like, he may meet a lot of listeners. A lot of time had passed, but Andrea shows up with some Culvers goods.
Girl.
So because I said, Andrea, if you don't, I just came from work. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm in my work clothes. I'm somewhere by the Gap trying to find. And
I just love that as a locator. I'm somewhere by the Gap.
Yeah. And she's like, I'm on my way. You are doing this. I will be there with you. So she meets me up there with the Culver's goods.
What
I'm
a
like,
good
sweet.
friend.
And I'm second to last in line. You know, now that I'm in the business, I know that Bobby, Lunchbox, and Jill were on their little panel judging people, just like, when is this day
Please make
over?
this.
Because they had done the morning show all morning. Then they went to the mall and they had been there all day.
Yeah.
I mean, you're hitting them at the worst possible time.
The worst, because and I get there, people have like costumes and signs and all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I said, okay, well, I'm just going to go up there, and I guess they're going to ask me a question. So I go up on stage, and the 2004 election had just happened, and I get up there, and I don't know that Bobby remembers who I am yet, because I have the Culver stuff, but I haven't been able to give it to him yet.
Ugh.
And he's like, who did you vote for in the last election? And I'm like,
Let's
okay.
start there.
And this is Austin, and to your point, keep Austin weird. Like, as a whole, 2004, things weren't looking great for George Bush. But I was proud.
Yeah, you were.
And I proudly proclaimed George Bush, and people booed. And I was like,
there's whoa.
What?
There's people watching.
at the mall. Yeah,
it's like
a crowd. Yes, it's a mall. Like,
I
picture
too
a
am still.
stage.
I need like.
Okay, picture.
There's an audience.
Okay. I know I said somewhere outside of the Gap, but like picture right outside of a department store, like you're outside of Dillard's
Okay,
or
yeah,
something, and there's
okay.
a big open area,
Okay.
and there's a stage set up,
Okay.
and then there's a table with
Right.
judges. The judges being Bobby,
Yeah.
Lunchbox, Jill, and they've got their little notepad.
Yeah.
And then you go up on stage and you give
Just
your...
on its mic.
Yeah, you've got a mic. A producer hands you a mic, and then they're going to ask you questions. We don't know what they are. Just be prepared. And if you've got your spiel, and I'm like, I don't really have a spiel. I'm not prepared, but I'll just answer the questions, I guess. And so it's like everyone had like 30 seconds to a minute or something.
Oh, gosh.
It wasn't,
That is
you
so
just and you just
intense.
answered questions. Well, I feel like my deep breath and pause before I proclaimed George Bush, that took up a lot of my time, and then the booing that
That's
I had
another
to
10
take.
seconds.
Eating up
Like, I was
another
like,
10, 15 seconds.
but I just was like, no, stand firm.
Yeah.
Stand firm. And that helped me. He was looking for like a young female
Whippersnapper.
conservative that was,
Mhm.
proud. And I don't know, times have changed. Like conservatives different now. Republican even feels different now than then.
Yeah.
And this wasn't anything political, but also I was from Austin. I went to high school, public school, by the way. The Bush twins went to public school, which I always thought was really cool. I went to school with them. I felt like I knew the Bushes a little bit different. Like George Bush to me as governor and like his family, like they were just really well. I really liked them. So when they became a, in the White House, I know their grandpa was in there, but when their dad became president, that was just like really crazy. But
Yeah.
so I think there was some of that tied into it of my excitedness to
Yeah.
proclaim him. And then also, yes, I was a Republican, and yes, I had more conservative values. And, yes, I wasn't scared to say that, which a lot of people maybe would have been on a mic.
Uh-huh.
And I think he liked that energy of like, oh, we could probably create some controversy with this young person.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And he sees you
She can
reacting in real time to the booing.
Yes.
And standing strong. And
Yeah. Little did I know I was going to have to grow much thicker skin.
Yeah.
Because listeners were pretty brutal to me. And I was very naive. I've evolved a lot for the better, in my opinion. Thank goodness. Shouldn't we all? But I was very, very naive, a little judgmental. Mm-hmm. And that worked for me at the time, though, because you have to have opinions and then you create that. And then I was opposite of Lunchbox, who was this other way. And then Bobby, he was just sort of like on the fence. And I felt like looking back at times, it's sort of like Bobby was there and he was like, he knew what to do to kind of like
get you,
pull Lunchbox and then pull me. And then he just sat back and like watched the
So after
fire.
you do do they ask more questions?
Honestly, I don't remember if they asked more questions. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But that's like all I remember. And then I just sort of
blacked out.
Go over and hand him. I'm like, remember me? Here's Culvers. and stuff. And then I think they're like, oh, finally, night's over. Everybody go home. So we go home and they said, we're going to play some of our favorites live on the radio tomorrow morning. So be listening. So while I'm getting ready for work, I have the radio on and I'm listening. And all of a sudden I start to hear my voice. George Bush, and I'm like, that's me. So I call my mom and I'm like, that's me, Mom. They just said me. Oh, so I think at that point they, there was like a top 10 and then it went down to top 8, 6.
They
made like a show.
A whole thing. Yeah. They drug it out for weeks.
Oh, genius.
Weeks.
Genius marketing on
So
their part.
then.
So are you invested at this point?
I'm totally invested.
Okay,
and I have a really good job. So then I have to go to my employers and say, hey, I've made it to now like the top 5 on this radio thing. I said, technically, I didn't apply for another job, but I kind of did.
Oh, yeah.
I said, but this is just fun. So like, can I be late to work? Because I get to go be on the morning show in the morning and then I'll be done by 9 and I can come in.
Oh, they had you come on.
They said, yeah, that's so fun. I was like, I'll shout out where I work, like my company, like this.
They're like, boy, we saw just the traffic spike was insane for the calls.
And we were a wholesaler. Like people couldn't.
They don't even like, what do you do?
How do I even become a customer?
If you guys if you guys need to sell tons of something,
all you have to do is start a small business, get your license here, and then apply to be one of our wholesalers.
But it needs to really work because we sell a lot, so it may be a little while. But if you get to that point,
you were very niche wholesale. Like you had to, I had customers and I took care of them. I didn't have to find new customers.
Yeah.
So anywho, I did shout them out though, and shout out AG&M.
AG&M. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, and they let me off, which was great. So for about 4 weeks, I was going back on air, and they dwindled it down to the top
4 weeks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like
it was
that's
a thing.
lot.
It wasn't on the air every day, but if you think about
like
it,
every
And then they dwindled it down to the top 2. Well, guess what, guys? Guess what?
What?
The other person with me,
the guy behind you.
No, not the guy behind me, but she wasn't even at the mall. And I'm like, she wasn't at the mall. She was already in radio. She interned for a station out of New York, and shenanigans.
So
this is what you call, radio stunt of sorts.
Yeah. Sure.
And I was the scapegoat. Is that what you call it? Right? Am I saying?
I love
need
your
to
energy.
I need to ask Annie.
Swivel goat.
Love your energy.
Swivel goat.
I was a swivel goat. Like, oh no. That's not what I'm looking for. I was the collateral damage.
Oh,
there we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, got there.
You can be both.
Well, I was thinking when you were saying the mall thing, I'm like, did they really think they were going to get?
Well, there's no way. There's no way they had a ringer, and they're like, we'll let this play out, and then we'll kind of bring. That
it's really
like,
whoever's idea it was.
Of course, when that girl signs on, she's like, Bobby, thanks for asking. It's funny. I'm so glad to be here in the studio.
I'm so new to radio.
Well, that's a great point, Bobby. Well, let's cut to our next song. Post Malone coming in with, you're like, this doesn't feel like you worked at Culvers before this.
I feel like I don't talk about this story much at all because it's way too long. And it's like, who cares? But
so here's the question.
But I was collateral damage. I didn't get the job, guys. I didn't get it.
You didn't get the job?
No, I didn't. She did. She was going to get the job all along. I was just part of the ruse. Like they used me. Like
so then what? So how do you find out that you didn't get the job?
Don't say on air. Do not say on air.
No, I think Bobby called me and was like, "Hey, it's not going to work." Like
Hey,
he's like,
meet me at the
"Hey."
Culvers.
It's so crazy. We found this girl, and she's from New York, and
No, he was just like, "I really think you would be a good fit, and I would like to have you." He goes, "I don't have that kind of pull right now, and the bosses are not going to hire some random girl from the mall." It was a
You're like, is that all I am to you? Is a random girl
stunt.
from the mall?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, fine. So we sort of kept in touch. Again, we still had that triathlon. So I think I even saw him at that.
The amount of contempt you just had. We still have to triathlon.
Yeah. And then I started dating the
You
guy
gotta run
that was...
through all that heartbreak.
Did you at least beat him at the triathlon?
I don't think
Let's
so.
just say you did.
Let's for the sake of the show.
Guys, I put my helmet on backwards. When you
That's okay.
Like they had to stop me like I'm doing the race.
No.
you have to have your helmet on and start, and they stop, like the official people, they stop me. They're like, ma'am. And I'm like, what? We have to hurry. I'm just clipped in. And they're like, your helmet.
So
it's on
backwards. Are you planning on going that way or this way?
Right, because aerodynamics.
Or everything else is backwards. Or however you want to look at it, you need to
I know.
switch.
Everything else is
But I finished. It was an Olympic triathlon. That's no joke.
No.
So I was proud of myself. Anyway, needless to say, I don't think I was breaking any records time-wise, but we did keep in touch. And then 8 months later, I could listen a little bit, but I would listen and be like, ugh.
Yeah.
So I started listening to other shows, and the vibe, I guess, I don't know, just whatever, wasn't really working. I get a phone call from Bobby about 8 months later, and he's like, hey, can you go to dinner? And I'm like, I'm dating somebody.
Is that all this was to you, Bobby?
No, Bobby and I never dated or anything like that. But in my mind, I was thinking, like, what does he want to go to dinner for? Because also I had just started dating the guy that I ended up marrying.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, how am I going to tell him I'm going to dinner with this radio guy? But anyway, I went because he said he needed to talk to me about something. And I'm like, okay. So we met, and he does dinner at like 4:30 p.m.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So it felt
Yeah.
safe.
He's been up for 15 hours at that point.
So we go to dinner, and he said, I'm here to offer you a job. And I was like, well, I just got a raise. So
suck it.
like I just had asked for a raise like 2 weeks before, and I was really proud of myself for doing that. And so 2 weeks after asking for a raise,
I was really proud of
I
myself.
went back in their office and put in my 2 weeks
Look,
notice.
so funny story. This is crazy, guys. Stay with me. Thank you for the raise, by the way. But I have got another job.
Right. I'm like,
I'm going to save you some money
Yeah.
right now.
Here's the good news. There is a silver lining.
yeah, I really wasn't making that much, but I did get a raise. And then going into radio, I was going to make less at the time with what we were doing. And I went to my mom and I talked to her, and she said, look, even though it's a pay cut, if there's ever a time for you to leave your stable job,
Because you're how old at this point?
I am 24.
Oh, yeah. You're really young.
Mm-hmm. But then 24, 25. I'd maybe just turned 25. I was 24 when I auditioned. And then I took the job, took the pay cut, fine, whatever, and started the show. And then that's how it happened.
Okay, this is what I'm curious about. And you referenced this because you've been doing this, like you said, for so long now. I mean, God, I didn't know. I mean, obviously I did math. I would know that. But I didn't see 2004.
Well, technically the math, it's 19 years, but if you count the mall.
The mall. Okay, that is the starting point.
That was 20 years
You were
ago.
technically
before the
on a
mall.
microphone saying something to him.
Yeah.
Which counts as radio.
That's right.
To some people.
I mean, that Whole Foods would have gone under had you not called in that day.
By the way, can I just say, I remember when I went, I think Wirtz and I went, the first time we played Austin was together. And I remember going to that Whole Foods, and probably maybe then, you might have been on the roof while I was dining on meatloaf or whatever it was down in the thing. And I remember walking through that place, and because I'd never,
Oh, yeah.
I think it was the only
like the Disney
Whole
World
Foods
of
at the
Whole
time,
Foods.
right?
Like it was for sure the only big one like that. I mean, Whole Foods started in Austin years before that, but it was a lot smaller.
It wasn't
but that was
the big concept one.
They had to have not franchise, but had other locations because they had the corporate office there. I don't think you have a corporate office for just like one.
Yeah, well, some do, and those are those companies that need wholesalers.
They need a wholesaler.
They need a wholesaler. But I remember like walking through that place and being like, "This is a big city. This Whole Food, you can get like meal and like cereal."
Where are you from?
Mississippi.
Where in Mississippi?
A place called Kosciuszko. It's tiny. It's
called Kazi. What?
Okay, that's
no. Say it again.
Kosciuszko.
Kosciuszko.
It
sounds Russian.
It's Polish.
Okay.
The way you would actually say it is Kosciuszko.
You wouldn't expect Kosciuszko to be in Mississippi.
Okay, everybody's getting a little judgy. I don't love the energy right now. So here's the question I have for someone that's done it for 19, 20 years. What is it like sort of living your life in front of people? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it because obviously what makes the show partially engaging is that it's not just voices. It's like, because obviously I've listened to the show a ton. It's like, oh, this happened. Hey, Amy, what happened with the thing the other day? How was your trip? Did you end up getting, whatever? Like, Bobby, what happened with your AC? Did you get, you're getting involved in these lives. I mean, if it were me, I just think I would forget I'd do that. And I'd either say some things that were a little too like, oh, that was pretty personal. I just said, because it's real time. Well, I guess you can probably edit now though, right?
We're still real time.
Okay.
So, and because that's what we've always known. There was all live all the way. I guess we load stuff on podcasts now.
Yeah.
But even that, we just all have a live mentality anyway. So even if we just go with the flow. But I suppose now with the podcast, but we stream that on YouTube live at the same time. Like, I don't know. There are times you just say stuff and you're like, well, shoot.
There it is.
And I've had to make apologies to certain people in my life.
Really?
Like if I have like, oh shoot, I should have run that by them.
Yes. Yeah.
And I've had to roll with some stuff. And then there's a lot of stuff we keep private. But in the moment, like you mentioned, stuff will just kind of come out.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the beauty of us all starting so young when we were, 24, 25, all doing it together and growing up together. When you're that age, and I wasn't married at the start. None of us were. There were no kids.
So
you were a little
collateral
more
damage is not
like
as
you could just talk about whatever. And I was very comfortable in front of the microphone. I didn't get nervous. My mom and my sister would come up sometimes and play. We do Family Feud, and they would come up and get on the mic. My sister is a beautiful writer. She's great with words. She's so funny. Her personality is so great. You put her in front of the microphone, and her chest starts to break out in hives, and she she freezes.
Right.
And I'm like, Chrissy, what's happening? So that sort of thing didn't happen to me, and so that's when I knew I was comfortable. And I didn't mind sharing certain things that were going on in my life. And then it started to get real personal. Speaking of my mom, when she got cancer, we decided to share some of that journey because I was going to be gone a lot. And I was doing the show remotely from Houston because she was at MD Anderson. And I was able to live there for 6 weeks and do it from our iHeart studio there. So there was some beauty in that of still being able to work and share in real time something very heavy because so many of our listeners are also walking through cancer.
For sure.
Totally.
And it's like, oh, Amy's going through this. I'm going through this. And I can get up and go to work today. She's figuring it out. Like it's hard, but it was almost your break. Like you get to laugh and then also share. And I think we got used to sharing the highs and the lows and being vulnerable, but also with boundaries. Yeah. And like I said, there's moments where I was like, oopsie, especially my marriage. Like my husband would be like, why would you say that? And I'm like, I didn't think you would have a problem with it. Yeah. And then I'd be like, okay. So you learn some of it's trial and error. And then I learned like, oh, I'll text a friend if like something happens. I'm like, do you care if I show prep that? But then you have to be careful because you don't want to be that person where everyone around you just feels like they're show prep
themselves
to you. Yes.
Yeah.
And so you find that fine line, and there's so much in my life now that has happened over the last, especially 5 or 6 years, that listeners have no idea and they may never know. And I don't know if I'll get to a point where I'll be able to share some of it, but there's stories that I think could be helpful and impactful for other people for sure, because other people are walking in stuff like that. But the story doesn't just involve me. It doesn't just involve me. It involves other people. And so out of respect to them and their journey, like I need to wait till the time is right. And that may be never. And that is also okay. Our whole lives don't have to be available.
Time on a mic.
It's a lot. Right. And you're looking for a lot of time to fill.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why you're like, hey, what's happened to you today? Can I talk about that?
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, like with your mom, you being vulnerable and sharing that part of your life helps so many people.
Yeah.
Well,
if
and
for no
luckily
other reason,
she was okay with that. And she
Yeah.
wanted to. Like, she would write out stuff that I would take and I would read. I'd be like, this is from my mom.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
she
great.
used it as, she really wanted, to put her faith on display with it, because that was getting her through a lot of it. And even Pimp and Joy, which came from her, which was a big part of the Bobby Bone Show, it came from Nehemiah 8:10, the joy of the Lord is my strength. And my mom wanted people to know, like, my joy isn't just coming from, nowhere. And also, there are some days that are really crappy and I am not joyful at all, but my overall theme is joy, and I seek that from the Lord, because there's no other way to have joy without him when you're going through something like this. And so, her words were impactful in that way. And when I would read her letters, and then she was in remission, and then it came back, and then she passed away, and listeners were really
invested
and involved in a lot of that. And then even fertility stuff and not being able to get pregnant, and then going the adoption route, and, choosing to adopt from Haiti, and then having some listeners being like, there's American babies here that need it. And you're like, okay, I don't see borders. Love your neighbor.
really open
I don't
yourself
see
up.
borders.
Right.
This is so good.
So lame.
I don't see borders.
I don't see borders. I do. I do see borders. I do see color, because my kids are black.
Yeah, of
we see
course.
color. And I really, how we even ended up in Haiti is a beautiful story. And you can't let other people
Which you're just
get in the way of what you're trying to do.
Dave, wake up.
Oh, hey.
Listen, I just wanted to say,
Oh my gosh.
with tariffs going into effect,
Yeah.
families all across the country are bracing for another wave of price increases at the grocery store,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
I know
that's a
I
great
am.
point. Yep.
You are too.
Yep.
But GoodRanchers.com is tariff-proof because of their 100% American supply chain. Good Ranchers allows you to get a stable price for unbeatable quality meat grown right here in the USA.
Well, now that you're in here, we might as well finish this conversation,
go
John,
ahead.
because Good Ranchers is also giving you your pick of free meat for life. What? For life. When you subscribe, that's free ground beef, wild-caught salmon, seed oil-free chicken nuggets,
that
or
seed
bacon
oil
in
outta here.
every box for the life of your subscription.
Crazy.
That's $300 of free meat each year.
Dang. For 2 years, that's $600.
That's
Listen,
fast.
their beef, chicken, pork, and wild-caught seafood is 100% born, raised, and harvested in the U.S.
Bruce
of A.
Springsteen would be so proud.
Would. From the local family farms right here in USA. No imports, no question marks.
And Good Ranchers helps you waste less food with their individually packaged, vacuum-sealed cuts that are good for a year in the freezer. Plus, you only pay for what you eat because their cuts are pre-trimmed by butchers.
Now it's time to change the way you buy meat and tariff-proof your meals with Good Ranchers.
That's right.
Because in a world that's constantly changing, you should know that at least one thing is staying the same.
So visit GoodRanchers.com and unlock your free meat for life and $40 off with our code DADVILLE. Their best offer ever.
Lock in a secure supply of American meat at a steady price today at GoodRanchers.com and claim $40 off and free meat with the code DADVILLE.
GoodRanchers.com. American meat delivered. You are living so wide open, though. You know what I mean? It's like, I would imagine you have to have a lot of discipline around that in your life, where it's like knowing, obviously, what to listen to, obviously, but just, how to, because that's every day for you, just navigating, like, I say things and fun, and every now and then somebody's kind of like, and you just got to, but, so much of your life is out there. It's in the public sphere.
Yeah. I've had enough practice to where I know, but I did have a little slip up just the other day with my current boyfriend, because he's new to all of this. I started dating him like 6 months ago, and he's a widower. And I was opening up about some of that on the Feeling Things podcast with Kat, and we were talking about it.
Oh, so this wasn't on the show. This was on
It was on the show. It was on the podcast, but still, he, of course, listened to it later, and I'm not thinking of it like he's going to be listening to it. And he didn't have a problem with anything, but I did realize there was a story I told that I didn't actually have full permission to. Other stuff, he's like, hey, I'm fine. Yeah, if you talk about that.
Yeah.
And then there was one route I went with some girl that he dated before me, and I decided to tell. But I mean, I'd say her name. I didn't. But I felt like it was relative to what came up in my brain at the moment.
Yeah.
So that was one of those things where it just came out. And podcasts you can edit, right?
Yeah.
So, but it never occurred to me at all, ever. And it was like an 1.5 hour long podcast. So who knows what I said. I really tried to be cautious, but it wasn't until he listened back. It's already loaded, obviously, if he's listening. And he's like, well, there's one part that stuck out to me, and it's this part. And I was just kind of surprised you said that. We haven't talked about that since, like, I don't know, our third date. And he kind of told me that, on a date, not thinking this is going to end up on a podcast or a radio show somewhere. Yeah. So that was a reminder, just like, hey, if something pops in your head, you don't have to just go for it.
Well, you said it so well, which I think a lot of people, you really have to understand, is that there's just so much time. There's so much space to fill. You know what I mean? Like, you guys...
Well, I wasn't trying to fill space in that manner.
Sure.
I think the way, the direction Kat and I were going, I was like, oh, this would be very fitting right here.
For that, yeah.
And I do think in my brain, I was like, should I say it? Should I say it? And I was like, I'm not going to say her name. I'll say it. So I said something to him today, and I was like,
that social security number would be good too.
Lucky for her, I don't know. So I can't even slip up. But he did say, he's like, well, she may... Who knows if she listens? I was like, there's no way out of all the people she would listen to my podcast. And he's like, she's kind of in the business. And I was like, really? I was like, well, she's not going to know that it's her. She was at the
tryouts for your podcast partner.
She had a bunch of Dairy Queen coupons.
Dairy Queen.
She didn't get. She's been bitter ever since. Never been to a Culvers.
I don't know.
Well, I feel like with Dave and I in this podcast, it was easier in the beginning when my kids were younger. But now, my kids are, one's going to be 13, one's going to be 10 here soon.
Mm-hmm. Their kids will start saying stuff at school.
I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like the balance is, I have to bring some vulnerability and honesty and transparency to this podcast. Otherwise, I just sound like a robot. And I what am I going to do? Like lean on some cliche phrases or whatever? It would be an uninteresting and unhelpful conversation to put out into the world. I got to be honest about my life as a dad, but now my kids are at an age where it's like, wow, I want to be kind of sensitive to like, would Luca be okay with me saying this? But sometimes we're in a conversation where I'm like, this really applies. Yeah. This really would be helpful. Yeah. So it's getting trickier.
Yeah. I would say with my daughter she turns 18 in a couple of days, and my son is 14 now. I run things by them. Yeah. When they first got here and they didn't speak English.
That's fair game.
I was like, fair game.
Don't do any Creole
does this
podcast.
get translated? Oh, it doesn't. Okay, good. No, we're good.
They didn't even understand when they first got here, like radio and how it worked. Like they were in the car, and of course they had met Bobby and whatnot, and they were on their way to school. I couldn't take them, so they're in the car, and we had a nanny helping us at the time because my husband was still deploying those times. And she sent me this video, and it was hilarious because Stevenson and Stashir were yelling at the radio, like thinking Bobby could hear them because they heard Bobby on the radio. And they're like, Bobby, with their little accents, Bobby, can you hear me? Bobby, and Bobby's not responding, and they're getting frustrated.
Oh my gosh!
And so that was their first experience. Like,
how
with our
how
show,
long did it take them to get to where they could speak English fluently? This fascinates me with any people that adopt from other countries.
Yeah. So for sure, a year we started to notice like things are getting easier to communicate, and then around the 2-year mark, and then COVID happened. It's like cool. So now they're not in school and they're home, and they're trying to learn all this other stuff and. I feel like COVID delayed some things for us, all of us.
Yeah, because you adopted them in 2017, is that right?
It was December of 2017 they came. So really, they were here 2018, 2019. So they'd been here 2 years, and then COVID happened. Yeah. But some of that in the 2 years was just trying to acclimate to.
Yeah, for sure.
Learning English was almost.
How old were they when they came?
7 and 11.
Yeah.
And so we're just trying to. Get them comfortable. Yeah. And, yes, are they learning things in school and learning English? But we had to try like a few different schools to figure out the good fit. And it was a lot. And my son had some trauma that he was coming with that really started to flare up around that time. And it was like, education's not so important right now.
Yeah.
More of a therapeutic approach is what we had to take. And I will say, early on, I wasn't as considerate in asking them what I'm going to talk about. And then once they got older, started meeting people, and their friends would listen and their friends' moms would listen. And then now that Stevenson's in 7th grade, sometimes he'll come home and he'll be like, he'll tell me something, and I don't even have to ask him anymore. He'll say, you can put this on the Bobby Bones Show if you want. And then he'll tell me something else. He'd be like,
No,
Mom,
don't
this
put that.
cannot go on the Bobby Bones Show. If I hear from a friend at school that you talked about this, like, I am going to be so mad. And I'm like, okay, cool. So he'll either voice it himself, or I will ask ahead of time. Like if I'm doing show prep and I'm like, oh, that was actually kind of funny that Stevenson did that. I'll go, hey, bud, do you care if I share this on the show? Because at this point he knows it may get back to him.
Yeah.
Or YouTube, like he'll see like stuff. He'll be scrolling YouTube and then video pop up and he'll be like, Mom. And it'll be a clip from years ago. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry.
This was before you spoke English. It was fair game.
Existence. I mean, like I'm picturing myself in 7th grade and like being at school and on the computers and like no clip of my mom is going to pop up.
Yeah. Well, this is something that I think Jeremy Cowart, do you know Jeremy?
Oh, yeah, good friend.
So Jeremy used to talk about this way before anybody else did. And he was like, we're leaving these digital footprints. This was 15 years ago, Jeremy would talk about this in conversations, just about how we need to be mindful of this. And this is forever ago. So even more so now. And I've thought about that ever since, this idea that like these things that, especially for those of us who are in show business, I've never been able to say that. It feels so good to say it. It's like really fun. But it's like our stuff is out there. And so like I think about this a lot with Dadville, just like our kids, should they want to, I don't know why they would, but it'd be a lot of hours. Same with you. I mean, even more with you, obviously. But, they can, like, let's say my son is 35 and he's on a 4-hour business trip and he's like, you know what? I just want to listen to, I don't know, I'll pick one of my dad's old, and he could be like, he said that? Or like, oh, that makes me so proud of him, whatever the response is. But it's a weird thing to do what we do when it can be listened to years from now by your kids or now by your kids. But I think there is this sort of weird responsibility we all have. I was asked to write, so I had a video that went viral. I don't know if you know that about me, but I did.
Well, when you're in show business,
listen, stuff goes viral.
Tell me more.
Well, it was funny because it was a parenting it wasn't anything music, which I was like, boy, that is just a cruel better thing, music. But it was just this point I made about it. The whole thing is the idea of like our house is the lab and our kids are in the lab. And so I had taken one of my kids to school and everybody was just loving and saying how great they were. And at home, they had just been like a terror for the last hour. And it was just this juxtaposition of like, isn't it weird? But so I just literally was like, hey, like, just remember you're living in a lab. And it's like, this is where they should be figuring out who they are. And out in the real world is the real world, not your house. Your house is where they're cooking up all their concoctions.
That's their safe space.
That's their safe space. Anyway, and so somebody asked me to write this blog on it. And I was writing it, and I realized, literally laying in bed last night, I was like, is this fair to this kid? And I don't name them. I don't, I just use they, and I'm not doing like, because I don't, I have 3 kids. I don't want them being like, but I was like, I just don't know. It made me reread it again this morning. I was like, because it's kind of funny, and it's like little, it's got some humor, and it's kind of, and I was like, I just don't want them to ever read this and be like, God, that was kind of cheap, that you, because.
Could you read it to them now?
Well, that's a great question.
And have them be involved in it.
Yeah.
And so then you've got their permission, and maybe they have something there to add.
Well, it's done. So
what's done is done.
No, it didn't. But that's a great point. But all that to say, it's interesting now the world we live in, where it's like, and I think especially with what we do, because like John said, and you're giving informed opinions because of your life, but you're also like, gosh, I've got these people that I'm kind of referring to who aren't exactly always giving consent to this story, even though the story is awesome and it makes sense and everything gets redeemed. They can kind of be the bad guy, and sometimes you're the bad guy. But you know what I mean? It's a weird. Every now and then, when I sort of like have a moment of clarity, I'm like, God, what a weird thing to do, where you're kind of always pulling people in and out of your existence, but it's in front of people, and so they're kind of experiencing your life. in a way that they don't have the context for that, or they don't know that your kid is great and they're this amazing kid.
Yeah.
You're just going like, God, they were being such a punk. And like, oh, you got a punk kid. And I'm like, no, it's a great kid.
Yeah.
But I guess in
It's
this
a
story,
punk moment.
it's
It's a punk moment.
Right.
We've
Which
had a
that's
lot of
our-
them.
That's our new podcast. Punk.
Jason, call legal.
We want to do a tryout right outside of JCPenney. And we will take any ice cream coupons if they have
Andy,
them.
they could be store-bought.
It's store-bought. It's whatever you want. Okay, so
Yeah.
you have been here. You've been so kind.
I feel like I've contributed nothing meaningful.
Absolutely not.
Like,
that's
No.
should I give a parenting tip? I mean, this is Dadville.
This is what before we released you, I did want to say one of the things
because I'm a parenting expert.
You are? Oh my gosh, Jesse and David said that. So the thing that I do,
I bet they did.
The thing that I do want to know with you having your kids for the time you've had them, this is always something I'm so curious about. What is the difference between because our kids are still 13 and younger, like parenting high school and parenting middle school?
Okay. I will say I was scared for them to get older and sort of weepy about it. Like, stop growing.
Weepy is a great word.
And now, my daughter, I mentioned, she's turning 18 this week.
That's big, by the way.
Our relationship is so fun.
Wow.
We there's still coaching that needs to happen, obviously, because even developmentally, she's not 18 like some other 18-year-olds are. I think any kid that comes from an institutionalized situation like an orphanage, especially if they've lived there for many years, there's developmentally, they're behind. So she's only a junior, so we're going to have her for a whole nother senior year. But even though she's 18, seeing her personality come out and seeing us shift to a little bit of a friendship mode is really sweet.
Yeah, I bet.
And I'm really looking forward to graduating out of that coaching phase. And I would say that's like the biggest difference of where I am with Stevenson. Like there's a lot more just
like
parenting type stuff
great.
that happens, and we'll shift to more coaching probably as he ages, where you're kind of more coming alongside and trying to guide instead of like parent.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know when it'll shift with him. Because boys are just a little delayed.
Probably
more
35.
Delayed. Yeah, probably 35. Yeah.
Maybe 40.
Yeah. So he's pretty living with us till then.
Hey, listen. You never know.
I know. Speaking of Jeremy Cowan and I, we'll be talking about that. We're like, so maybe our boys can be roomies. And
my gosh.
They already are good friends. We both adopted from Haiti. And
that's right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, our boys hang out. And then they have a daughter, too, that my son also hangs out with. And all our kids run track together, too. So it's fun. And, finding your people, finding your community, because you're going to have different moments with your kids that are not so pleasant.
Yeah.
But having people like Jeremy and Shannon and that are in the same season of life as you just helps.
Well, there's some
so
crazy
much.
stat that somebody's told us. I mean, again, I don't know this because my kids are too young, but where some stat where like some crazy amount of information that your kids learn in sort of high school is not from the parents. Like it's from the people surround, like the other adults, be it.
Well, and wherever we heard that, it was like, I remember it hit me really hard because it was exactly the age that my oldest is now. That it was like, now begins the time where they are no longer looking to Amy and I, not you and I, my wife, Amy.
Yeah.
Any Amy's, honestly.
Actually, my daughters would be looking to you, actually, now. They're not looking to my wife, Amy, or me. They're looking to other adults for their cues on how to navigate through life. Mm-hmm. So my wife and I have been thinking of like, okay, who are some girls that we can get our girls to like go to Starbucks with and talk about some
Culvers, honestly.
Or sorry, Jason, take me back to one. Find the biggest Culvers and get our girls there, and sort of have some more mentors because it's not coming from us right now,
Which is the importance of community.
Yeah.
Was that your experience?
Community is everything. Yeah. Well, and even with my kids being Black, I have Black friends in town that purposefully
so good.
have in their life to hang out with them. For my daughter especially, because there's things that come up with her hair that I cannot relate to, and I don't want to even pretend. I mean, of course I go to YouTube and I look up stuff and I'm like trying to figure it out, but it's just like sometimes she's like, you just don't understand, like you don't have to deal with this. I'm like, you're right. Like, but she's an artist and songwriter, Brittany Spencer. Like I just want to shout her out. She's amazing, and she's been
so great.
Over the years, been there for my daughter anytime, like has shown up at my house like at night with like a special hair wrap and hair beads, like, here, you need this, like this will help fix this. And so just having people that will hang out with them, and they'll go do, like they went to Lizzo together. And because I was like, go to Lizzo with Brittany, because I don't really want to go, but she can form those relationships with people that I trust and that she can feel safe with, and that she can feel seen by and understood by in ways that I may not. And Brittany's younger, cooler, hipper. But finding your people, your community. But I would say I don't know that I have the biggest, like, junior high and high school, how is it different? It's just definitely more fun. And you have to be intentional about the connection, and they can get lost in their phones and social media and all of that. Like, as parents, we just have to be diligent and be on top of it. Like, my daughter has had some mess ups on TikTok. Maybe one day she'll let me tell the story. But we had an issue last year. It was bad. And I'm like, I was like, what part of you would think that this is okay? I said, are any of your friends, did they see this and think like, oh, this is normal? Or is anybody being like, hey, Stashira, maybe you shouldn't post that, And she's like, no, they didn't say anything. And I'm like, well, this is a problem.
Isn't that fascinating?
Like, the fact that I know you have some really solid girls in your life, and nobody is thinking this is a problem. And the reason why they don't think it's a problem is because they see it all the time.
Right.
That's right.
It's normalized.
It's normalized. And I like, well, we need to really revisit what is normal and acceptable, because speaking of a digital footprint, you're going to try to go get a job one day and they're going to Google, and then this is going to be up here. So you're welcome. I've deleted the account. And she was not, I don't think she talked to me for a while, but that's one of those moments where you just have to like power through, and then the 2 months of awkwardness and painfulness passes, and then you are actually closer than before, because there's something deep within them that knows that this person cares about me. This person loves me. This person,
so tough.
And will do hard things for me.
Will do hard things for me. Yeah, they will. And I'm going to go ahead. I also feel like sometimes as a teenager, it's like, because I mean, we were teens too, and I treated my mom terribly. I feel like sometimes it's payback. And my mom always told me, I hope payback is really hard for you. And I'm like, thank you. Thanks, Mom. It is. I said something to my daughter the other day. I'll quote movies for, I get inspo from, like Jerry Maguire for my parenting. And I just, out of nowhere, because she just wasn't getting that I'm like trying to help you. Like, this is right in front of your face. So I just look at her and I go, help me, help you. And she had no idea the reference. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm just picturing Tom Cruise like yelling at his athlete, like, help me, help you. And he's so desperate in that moment to just be like, God, you're such an idiot. And later I showed her the scene from Jerry Maguire. And
this is a cool cultural reference.
She did not.
I'm so hip,
didn't care.
Okay? Your mom is super hip, okay?
She didn't care. But I will say, a cool thing too, as they develop and grow and mature, when you start to see the fruit of your labor, like when they can start to name some of their feelings or emotions or set boundaries with you, you're like,
oh, look at you.
I think if I was an unhealthy parent, I'd be very annoyed by that right now. But lucky for you, I'm doing the work and I'm trying to be a healthy parent. And good for you for setting a boundary with me.
Good.
If you can't talk about this right now, I respect that.
Wow.
We're going to circle back, but I will respect your boundary in this moment, that you're aware that you are not able to have a constructive conversation at this moment.
That's really mature.
That is mature.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah. I was like,
it's like this
proud.
Weird, with my oldest, she's about to be 13. I can forget that she's 12 years old, because I think this generation emotionally is so evolved, and they're very articulate with their naming their emotions, what they're going through, all that kind of stuff. Also, she is our oldest. And so she's just, she just looks old right now. And then to your point about the moment with your daughter and TikTok, you have these moments that where they'll do something. You're just like, oh, that's right. You're 12 years old.
Right.
Yeah, I forgot that you're 12 years old and your little brain's not developed yet. You know?
Not at all. I mean, their brains aren't even developed till what, like 25?
25, yeah.
20,
Mine was last year.
Yeah, the boys are. We're getting there.
25 is what they say.
In my own way, I had
like
my helmet backwards, if I can use that analogy here. So, Amy, you have been so kind to come because again, this is like what, midnight for you in your time.
Yeah, what's your average get up? You're getting up at like 4. You said.
Yeah, probably now like 4:30 ish. I get up.
I mean,
I used to be at work at that time, and now I get up at that time.
Are you even physically able to sleep in at this point?
Yeah, I probably on the weekends will sleep till 6:30 or 7.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
That's actually pretty good.
Is that cool?
That's good for me. John could sleep till can you still? No, you sleep so
I can't
good.
sleep.
I hate that. I love that about you.
I thought we were gonna like write a song or something.
Listen.
Well, we can.
But do you know I've always wanted to do that.
How's that sound?
I wrote.
Whose head needs to be on a swivel?
Whose head needs to be on a swivel?
No, but actually the first time I was ever on the radio, I was in 3rd grade. It's because I wrote a bat rap. And it was featured on because the bats are in Austin under the Congress Bridge.
Oh, that's right.
So I was on the bat awareness team, and it was.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Do you realize what the acronym for that is?
Bat awareness team.
BAT.
Yes.
Okay, good. I was like, please tell me somebody knew that.
I'm about to blow your mind.
Bats are the
Amy.
best in the north, south, east, or west. Save the bats if you can. We just want you to understand. Bats are your friends. If you see a bat in your neighborhood, just remember that bats are good. Bats don't use their eyes to fly. They use echolocation while they're in the sky. So if you think that bats are mean, you need to listen to the bat awareness team. Bats are your friends.
That was, and we got it. We actually got it. So we can put that to rhythm.
I'm available.
Okay. John had something this afternoon, so he's.
Can we do it right?
It'd be.
Let's do it.
Listen, let me tell you something.
Let's do it.
It'd be in that moment you'd be like, I've been so close to what I've really been
I wrote a song
called
with Brittany Spencer.
Oh, geez, that's a real co-write.
But I mean, it was for a podcast. It was just a theme song for a podcast.
No, by the way, I like Walker's theme song.
Don't you love it?
It's really great.
It's so good.
He's the best. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Shout out Walker Hayes.
Love him. I only met him because, speaking of this is encouragement for people to shoot your shot. Like send an email, throw it out there. You never know who's going to whatever. When my mom was sick, and we were talking about her story, she's got sick when we were still in Austin in Top 40, and then we moved to Nashville, continued the cancer journey. She was really going through it when we were in Nashville, and so we were still brand new to town. And Walker was, I don't even know what he was doing, just writing music and putting stuff out. I mean, super talented, but just not. Fancy like was not even on the horizon yet. And he sent Bobby an email, heard me talking about my mom one day, and he wrote a song called Joy Like Judy.
Wow.
Because Judy, Pimp and Joy. And it was like Pimp and Joy, and he was like Joy like Judy. And he took all these stories I had told about how my mom was like so nice to people at the hospital. And I would talk about how when she'd be on the elevator, she would, compliment someone. And I was like, who talks to people in the elevator? Yeah. And so in the song, you hear him go, she even be talking to people in the elevator. And he's like, who talks to people in the elevator? And he does this whole thing. And so he sent the song to Bobby in an email, and I had no idea it was coming. And one day Bobby's like, hey, Amy, we have this gift for you. It's from a songwriter in town. His name is Walker Hayes. And so he hits play. We play it live on the radio. I'm hearing it for the first time. I'm like crying, this is crazy. This guy wrote my mom a song. So then it was shortly before my mom passed away. I was like, Mom, we didn't know she was going to die that year, but we knew it was maybe coming-ish. And I was like, you have a song about you. Like, we need to do a music video. So we made a music video, and my mom is in it reluctantly, but she did it. And her grandkids are in it. And my dad was still alive at the time. My parents were divorced, but he's a part. Like, everybody's in it. And we have this she had this signature dance move she does, and it's on YouTube. But it's called Joy Like Judy, and it's thanks to Walker. And it's a gift because her grandkids and my kids never knew her. She passed away before they came here.
Oh, and they can watch that.
But for her grandkids, it's just like sort
That's
of
so
like my
sweet.
grandma's music video. And it's all thanks to Walker. And so that is how we became friends.
Isn't that funny?
That's great.
And then years later, he's like coming on the show to play his songs.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy to think about?
And I'll forever have a place in my
He's
heart
the
for
best.
Walker.
I love
Hayes.
that guy.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Anyway.
Okay, so
I feel
this
like
is-
you've tried to end this with me like multiple
No,
times.
no,
and I
no.
keep talking. I'm sorry.
I've had, this is
I
where
still
we.
don't feel like I added any value,
You
though.
definitely did.
Don't
Can I
do
leave
that.
you with one parenting tip?
Oh my gosh,
Please.
yes. As many
I
as
just
you
got
have.
this from, I can't take credit, it's from Onsite. Ben and I, Ben is my ex-husband. We just went and did a weekend there with our kids as co-parents.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Because, we're trying to
Yeah.
co-parent well.
Yeah.
We're not always perfect, but we try to do it. And something that the therapist gave us there that has been so helpful and awesome, y'all should try it, is the 3 A's. And so at the end of every day, this is not something that's supposed to be time consuming. It's supposed to be quick. And the more you do it, the quicker you get it down. But the 3 A's are affirmation, ask, and apology. And so what you do is you go around whoever's in the family, and again, it's more like popcorn. You can't go on, and you can only do one per thing. It teaches your kids to also be on the lookout for things they see to affirm.
Oh, yeah.
And then also to make note of like, what do I need to ask for? And you can only ask for one thing a day. But it's like, oh, I've, been asking for new underwear and mom hasn't, but you ask it at the appropriate time. So you affirm, like you might be like, Dave, or your kid might be like, Dad, I saw you, help mom in with the groceries and that was really cool. Simple, but affirm. And then ask, Dad, how I've been asking you to help me, change my flat tire on my bike. Like, could you? And then you're like, oh, okay, I got to do that. Make a mental note, or even write it down. And then apology. Like, is there anything today that I need to apologize to any of you for, like in
Wow.
the family? And you can do it around the table. And again, it's not supposed to be this long exercise. I guess if you've got lots of kids, it could take a minute, and depending on how old they are. But with just me and the 2 kids, and then Ben also does it at his house. So it's
Wow.
consistency of they know at my house we're going to do the 3 A's, and at his. And it's sort of like sometimes we're like, oh shoot, we're going to bed, and I'm like, kids, gather around, we got to do the 3 A's.
Wow.
And it helps because too, they'll be fighting, and Stashira will say, is there any, like reluctantly, is there anything I need to apologize for? And then Stevenson will be like, well, when you picked me up from school today, you were rude when I got in the car. And then she'll have to be like, oh,
That is
sorry.
really good.
And you're quick, like chant, and then it's practicing communication. So what she wants to do is it helps us build our relationship in a foundation. But what's beautiful is it's teaching them how to properly communicate in relationships so that as they age and in their friendships
That's
and then
so
romantic relationships, they know how to affirm, they know how to ask questions, and they know how to apologize.
That's really good. That's really
I'm definitely
good.
going to do that.
So if you want to cut this and chop it and put it at the beginning, so there's added value, please do. Because I feel like at the beginning, like talking about auditioning at the mall, I'm like, who cares?
It would have to be like just a terrible edit. So we're glad. And here's, let me tell you my parenting advice. It's just like such a bad edit.
I know. I just
okay,
feel
so
like,
listen,
what? People are gonna be like,
We
what?
end with the big speed round.
Okay.
So buckle up. Speaking of the triple A's,
All right.
speed round.
Let's go.
This is the first of which I'm going to ask, because this is always our favorite, most selfish question to ask, especially with performers or people that are on air. What is your worst on-air moment?
My worst.
I just had
on-air
this
moment.
nightmare where you
I mean, the
start
time
crying,
I
and I'm
almost.
like,
Well, there was a time I almost died. It really wasn't my fault.
what?
But I took the hottest shot in the world, like that we ordered off the internet, like a alcohol shot. Alcohol shot.
Spicy?
Yes, the hottest.
You did it on air. Why did you
we
say
had
okay
to
with that?
because, I don't know, we spun the wheel or I lost a bet or something, and I took it. And I don't think any of us anticipated how painful it was
no.
going to be. So we
Oh,
weren't
my gosh.
prepared. We had no milk.
Yeah.
We had nothing really. I just
No-
thought we'd take
no,
the
like,
shot and it
medical
would be
professional
hot. Right. I
ones.
thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. Bobby thought, well, this is it. Our cruise are over. He really did. He thought in that moment, because I was banging the table yelling, somebody help me.
Oh my gosh, Amy.
Yeah.
How
And-
long were you in pain?
Oh my God.
Probably hours.
A long,
right?
long time. I recovered.
Did you do the rest of the show?
No. I left. I went to the bathroom. I was spitting up. So then the heatness was all over my lips and my nose because it was coming out of my nose. It sort of felt like a chemical peel. And finally, they got me some milk, and that helped. But I was just pouring the milk on my face and like in my mouth, and I was like, oh. But I was like laying in Bobby's office. Like I was in the bathroom for a while, and then in his office, and I was sweating and shaking. Like on my hands and knees, like over the trash can, like throwing up. And
Amy.
So that's
talk about something that takes a hard left turn and it goes from like kind of chuckly to everybody's
that was a moment where we definitely thought it was funny, and then we definitely thought we're done, because there's radio stunts that have gone wrong, like a Wee for a Wee, where they, as a stunt, they were having people drink a bunch of water and hold their pee, and whoever could hold their pee the longest would win the Wee.
Oh, gosh.
And a woman died.
Like they won
She died? Yeah, because holding your pee is toxic.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it was very tragic, but that was one of those moments where it was like,
this could be the other
Amy
one.
could have,
she was
like, not that could have died, but
stuff?
like.
That's just something that's out there for people to drink?
Also, you have to order it from the dark web. I don't know where you get it, but it was horrible.
Oh my God.
It was horrible.
Oh, Amy.
Okay.
So I'm just glad.
We're glad you're with us still.
Yeah.
I'm here, guys. So I mean, I probably have worse moments where I said something stupid and I wish it would go away forever, but.
Have you ever called a guest the wrong person? Surely. That'd be
called
a
a guest the wrong. No.
You know what I mean? Like you have like some superstar on and you're like, so, Callie, it's Carrie. Oh, I'm so sorry, Carrie.
No.
She's a professional.
I know when I said that, she's like, what do you think I'm doing, man?
No, come on. All right. What's your favorite on-air moment?
Gosh, I have so many. My favorite on-air moment. I have like a catalog running through my head of like, my parents coming on at certain times, my kids coming on the radio for the first time.
I'm sure.
We just had a recent one where, speaking of like losing bets, I shot 31.
Oh, I saw that.
Three-pointers. That was recent. That felt fun again. I feel like we've been lacking that for a couple of years. And when we left there, I texted Bobby and I was like, that was fun. That felt like the old days. Because I feel like we're kind of getting older.
Yeah.
And it's, it gets repetitive and you lose some of the.
What was that noise?
It's just like you lose some of the stuff and it just feels bleh. And it's everybody goes through ruts probably.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, am I naming my favorite one? I just thought of it.
Oh gosh.
I know I did the basketball thing. I was like filibustering.
Look at you.
So George Strait is my favorite artist of all time. I mean, I've loved George since I was a kid.
Being Texan.
He's awesome. So I'm interviewing him one day, but they're like, you're going to have to come back up to the station at like 3:00. He doesn't come to Nashville often.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even in Nashville for this. They're like, he's calling in from Texas, but he's doing his calls like around 3. So you got to come back up to the building. So I was like, cool. So I go back up to the building at 3 to do my phoner with George Strait. And I'm in the studio. I'm on the phone with him. And I'm talking about how I wish you would really come to Nashville. He was like, yeah, next time I come, I'm going to have to. And now there's a video of this, so I see how it was happening. But he was on a cell phone with me, walking over to the studio from his record label. And so he's on the phone with me talking and walking down the hall. And I'm like, yeah, you should come to town. And he's like, yeah, Amy, I'll have to do that. And then he walks through the studio door. And I am so like, cool. What? And I'd met him before briefly at different things, but to be doing an interview one-on-one, and it wasn't even Bobby doing the interview, it was me. Yeah. And I think I'm on the phone with him, and then boom, he's there in person, and he agreed to do this whole shtick thing. I just thought, George did that for me.
That's amazing.
George did that for me.
That's amazing.
So that's probably one of my favorite.
That's got to be the favorite.
I love that.
I mean, there's more favorites, but yeah.
Well, this may tick that box, because the next question I had was person you were most excited to meet.
George Strait, Dolly Parton.
Wow, that was fast.
Probably. I mean, George is just like, giddy, but I'm thinking Dolly was just legendary.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And that, she came into the studio once several years ago and it was pretty formal. And then in fall of 2023, Bobby and I were invited to her studio to do some stuff, and that was sort of next level, like more intimate. And that was when I was like, wow, she's
That's so cool.
She's goals.
Yeah.
But it's unattainable, so it doesn't.
Right.
It's a great way to put that.
She's just universally loved. Everyone loves her.
Yeah.
She's, I'll say really quickly too, I read something the other day where it's like, this is the thing about her, that it's easy to think of her music and how iconic that is, but man, her humanitarian work is, it honestly, I think overshadows her career. It's that profound and significant.
Yes.
It's remarkable what she's done, and the money she's given and the money she's raised. It's really, really inspiring,
and in such a humble, classy way. That's why I say she's
amazing.
She's goals. Like she's just unmatched.
10 more years and you're there.
No, not even close. It's not even possible. It's fine.
Okay, if you could pick an interview or episode of the show to go back and redo, either just to experience it again because it was so great, or to like redo it, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, guys.
This is hard-hitting journalism, Amy.
I mean, probably... I just thought of one I don't want to say, because if I say it, it brings it back up again.
But that's the real answer. But
I was mortified at the time. I'm not saying it.
You've learned to edit now.
I mean, probably just times where you say stupid stuff. Like, we play a lot of easy trivia, and I hate when I don't know, like, 2 + 2, you know? And you're like, God, why'd I say 5? I'm such an idiot. But, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that will happen. And then you're like, why did I not? I know the first president was George Washington, okay? Or, like, I know the Capitol. But when you're under pressure, you just don't know. So it's probably, you know what? I would probably go back to my early days, and when I was proclaiming from a pedestal that divorce was not an option for me, and the guys were like, so what if your husband does this and he goes to jail? I was like, I'll visit him. Like, I was just so, and that's not even so much about me at all. It's for any other listener that was in their car at the moment that was possibly going through a divorce, that I was... you know, showering shame over them. And at a moment where they probably needed to be held tightly, I was so just steadfast with no real reason other than I just grew up divorced. Not even though I came from a divorced home, the kind of church I went to, it's just like, this is not an option when you get married. Like, and they were throwing out like all these heinous things, and I'm like, I shall stay married because I am the wife. That is what I do. And I just didn't have enough life experience. And so we got here, boys. We got here. I really do think that it would be some of those shows where if I was ever saying that, because I know for a fact, I know how it feels now. And I know when I shared what I was going through, how many messages I got from people that are like, oh my gosh, I'm in the same position and I never thought divorce would happen to me. And here I am. One of the things I love about our job is coming alongside people, and when they're in their car, if they need that laugh, they get to laugh. If they need that cry, they get to cry. If they need to just feel seen, they feel seen. And my young, naive, immature self was not allowing for people to feel seen.
You know, it's funny because, again, there's got to be grace for us because, like we've said, you're growing up in front of people as much as everybody else is.
Yeah, I have grace, but I would just get rid of those episodes.
They're gone. We can make that call, by the way. We know people. Okay, last question. I'm going to let this be a podcast, a book, or what was the other thing I was going to say? Radio show. If you could name any of those about being a mom, what would it be called? So a book or a podcast, or just like what would you call that if it was about being a mom?
I have a few titles running through my head right now, and I'm like, for whatever reason, I'm like, do you see me like doing like a cheer sign? Like I'm cheering. I just want to be like, you're doing okay. Yeah,
that's great.
Like you're doing all right. Like you're doing your best. Like they might be in therapy one day because of you. Does that work? They are going to be.
Right.
They are going to talk about you in therapy.
Is that the name of
I love this title. By the way, this is the best answer we've ever had.
Answer we've ever gotten.
So I feel like, am I on the cover, like, kind of doing a little bit of a cheer and saying, like,
kind of crying.
They are in therapy because of you.
That is
yes, they
truly,
are.
yes, truly one of the best. I think that may be the best title.
In parentheses, and that is okay.
That is okay.
Yeah.
You did your best.
Just keep have to flip to the back to keep the title going. Don't judge yourself. Don't have shame.
Have
for yourself.
grace. We are all doing our best, and you
are too.
It's just
we assume
they have to turn into like an acronym so people can just read the book, and it ends up spelling bat.
This was so fun.
Thank you, Amy,
for coming in.
every
Y'all
woman.
say that to everybody. That's
Yay!
Hi, dear one. I'm Dr. Edie Wadsworth, your new favorite Christian life coach, and I want to invite you to the House of Joy podcast. If you're a woman over 40 or the daughter of one who wants to build a positive mindset, healthier habits, and thriving relationships, this is the show for you. We talk about personal growth, faith, resilience, and creating a life you're obsessed with. So if you're tired of feeling stuck and ready to step into more joy and purpose, come join us. Listen now wherever you get your podcast.
Are you hungry for guidance about mindset, relationships, health, finances, career decisions, and dealing with your past? I'm Trey Tucker, licensed therapist and speaker and host of Rugged, a podcast where I help young men and women navigate life's challenges and find solutions to help them live lives of service and meaning. In this podcast, you'll learn mindset strategies to harness your thoughts and emotions in ways that help you achieve your goals. I bring a blend of straight talk and empathy, and I'm open to addressing any topic and treating it and the people connected to it with respect and curiosity. Come join us. We have a space for you. Search for Rugged with Trey Tucker wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure to hit the follow button so new weekly episodes will be delivered straight to your personal podcast feed. My hope is that this podcast will leave you feeling encouraged and empowered to take charge of your life and close the gap between who you are and who you want to be.